Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. Welcome to another classic film review. Today's classic film review is for the 1997 science fiction action film The Fifth Element. A film that is directed by Luc Besson, who also did the screenplay. And the film stars Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich, Gary Oldman, Ian Holm, Chris Tucker and Brian James. Now this film focuses on the future. I think it's set something like 2215 or something like that. And the film sets up at the beginning in 1915, something like that. And essentially, the story here is every 300 years, pure evil returns. And he has a desire to take hold of the element stones. There are 4 stones, 4 elements, and there is a 5th element. It's the job of the 5th element to protect these stones and protect life itself, because if evil wins, it will wipe out all life. We see that early in the film. This alien race that is dealt with protecting these stones. They take them from Earth in 1915 to a more secure place. They tell the priest to pass on the knowledge throughout the ages, which he does, and then the film then starts. 300 years later, evil has returned, and it wants the stones. Gary Oldman's character Zorg is a very, very over-the-top and evil character who is assisting this evil entity to try and track down these stones. And Bruce Willis is given the job of recovering these stones. Mila Jovovich plays Lilu, who is the 5th element, who is also charged with protecting these stones and protecting all of life. Right, what are my thoughts on the 5th element? The 5th element for me is one of those really unique, visionary science fiction films. I've just rewatched it to prepare for this review just a couple of days ago, and it still blows me away, the visuals in this film. They are incredible still to this day, and they still work. There was nothing in this film that I thought looked dated in any way, shape or form in regards to the visuals, the production design, the sets, the costumes. I think it was Jean-Paul Gaultier that designed all the costumes here, and you can really tell they're over the top, they're extravagant, they're classy, the gaudy, the weird, the odd. I mean, the whole film itself is almost a piece of art, just visually. Now, if it was just that, then it wouldn't work, this film, because Luc Besson did a film fairly recently. What was it, Valerian, something like that, that looked stunning, but was actually pretty terrible in regards to the characters and the story. Didn't do anything for me. I remember watching it. I think I've even reviewed it on the channel. It just didn't work. So if this film was just a visual feast and nothing else, it wouldn't still be regarded as a classic today. But thankfully what we get here is a film that is stuffed full of memorable characters and some real fun. The film itself doesn't take itself too seriously. It allows itself to have fun, so therefore you as an audience member have fun watching it. Gary Oldman, you could argue here, steals the show as Zorg. At the time in the 90s, he was churning out the bad guy performances, Air Force One, Leon, Fifth Element, Lost in Space. You can go on, he was just brilliant at doing these villainous roles in the 90s, and arguably this is his greatest, or you could even argue his worst performance. Some people love it, some people hate it. I just think he's so wonderfully over the top, his performance. It's like it was ripped straight from a cartoon. I really like his performance. Now, the word is that he did this film, Gary Oldman, as a favour to Luc Besson, because he's worked with him before, but also Luc Besson partially financed his film around this time called Nil by Mouth. So, he really felt like he owed him, and they were very good friends, but he's not particularly fond of this film, apparently, in interviews when he's been asked if he likes this film, and he's like, oh my god, no. So I think maybe he's giving himself too much of a hard time, because he gives one of the most memorable villainous performances that you will see for a long, long time if you've never seen this film. Bruce Willis in the 90s was obviously red hot, and he delivers here in this heroic role as Corbin Dallas. That, to his credit, he doesn't try and, take over the sets, in regards to his scenes and things like that. Yeah, he's the main character here, you could argue, Bruce Willis. And he does what he does, and he does it well, and it's really refreshing to be reminded of when Bruce Willis was good, Mila Jovovich was fairly new at the time to the movie industry. She'd done a couple of projects, I think, and I think this is arguably one of her strongest performances. She comes up with this new language with the director, and it feels real, it feels authentic when she's talking in it, and she's got this real innocence and charm to her that is easy. Easily dismissed, I think, but I think a lot of credit needs to go to her for her performance here, because it really works. Ian Holm as Cornelius, the priest, was brilliant as well, really charming, really funny. And Chris Tucker divides a lot of people in this film. You'll either love him or you'll hate him. He's massively over the top as Ruby Rod, this live action DJ. And it's a really divisive performance, and it was his first introduction into movies? I think he did the Rush Hour not long after this one, the first Rush Hour. It's a divisive performance. You'll either love it or you hate it, and initially it's really grating, but he does actually become an important role in the film, and you do start enjoying his performance a little bit more as the film goes on. And it was a brave decision by the director, and a brave performance, I think, by Chris Tucker. But the film carries itself brilliantly. There's some great action sequences in it. It's genuinely charming and funny, and visually it's just an absolute feast, and it's such a joy to look at visually as well. It's got great performances by everybody. It's great to see the film not take itself too seriously. We even get a very early performance by Lee Evans in it, who was in the film briefly. But everybody's enjoying themselves. They've got the tongue firmly in their cheeks here with this film, and it's a really, really fun science fiction film to watch. If you've never seen it, you need to get it watched. If you haven't seen it for a while, rewatch it and remind yourself how great this film is. For me, I just absolutely love it, and I'm really, really delighted that I caught up with it, because it's been a while since I watched it, probably at least a decade, I would say. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comments your thoughts on The Fifth Element. Do you think it stood the test of time? Do you think it's a really memorable science fiction film? And I will be back, obviously, with plenty more reviews and classic reviews on the channel very, very soon.